What's up, real MVPs? Ricky Widmer here, and welcome into another edition of MVP Sports Live right here on the YouTube page of MVP Sports. We are here for another jam-packed day of sporting news. I am joined, as I always am, with my beautiful co-host, Soapy Muffin.
Hey, but also not always.
Yeah,
sometimes joined by.
So, for gaming, it's always like I gotta come up with a new thing for sports, because it would always be, it's always Dave. I think I just gotta change it up to so
most of the time.
Well, no, let's see. I gotta get back into it. So welcome into MVP Sports. Blah blah blah. I'm here as I sometimes am with my beautiful co-host, and then whoever it may be. I gotta switch it up.
That fits more.
I gotta switch it up, because you're right. It is not always. I'm not always with you. I'm not always... Like, today, I wasn't even supposed to be here, Soapy. I was supposed to be here, but I was supposed to be, like, the man behind the camera, like, not giving a shit about being on camera. But somebody who was supposed to be on today is a little... I don't want to be mean to him, but I am gonna say is a little butthurt about his team losing yesterday. So he basically told us ahead of time that if the Sixers lose, Jake was not going to be on. So, I'm the reserve. You're stuck with me today, Soapy. You don't get Jake like you had him yesterday.
I mean, at least he did give us the warning.
Oh, that's all you were going to say?
I
thought there was a Ben Simmons slander going in there.
Oh, no, we got that later. Just wait.
Soapy's like, don't want to blow the load too soon. And Jake's not on a suicide watch, but we've definitely sent a wellness check to his house already to make sure that he is alive. Like, I know he's alive, but also, Soapy, I mentioned this to you. I'm going to mention it to the channel. He did change his profile pic from TJ McConnell. Maybe this means I can pull Jake away from the Sixers and he can be a Bulls fan full time. We can get our Bulls fan in the Discord. But in order to be a Bulls fan, you need to admit to the one true GOAT in the NBA, which Jake will never do. The one true GOAT being
That's
Michael
a very
Jordan.
fancy way of saying Larry Bird.
Oh, yeah, the big fun.
That's a very fancy way of saying Larry Bird.
The big fundamental was Tim Duncan. Swedish shot basketball was Larry Bird. Bill also says something that totally wasn't predicted in the watch along last night. With what is he talking about? The Sixers and the Sixers Hawks game? Is that what he was mentioning? With the
I think so.
Whew. But yeah, we got a fucking show today. We've got playoff games to talk about. We got Rick Carlisle to talk about. If you're in Dallas right now, the city is falling. Luka is leaving. Don Nelson's gone. Rick Carlisle is gone. The whole city's burning. Like, the Mavericks don't know what to do with themselves.
All right, one may be gone. One's leaving next year, and one's gone.
Mm-hmm.
It'll slowly fall apart.
Yeah. Oh, man, I can't wait to talk about that. And then Soapy and I get to do what we were going to do a couple days ago, and we're going to preview the Combine. The Combine list came out. We're finally going to talk about it, and who needs the best Combine, who's not going to show up at the Combine, all that good stuff. Before we get into everything, though, make sure to hit up that Discord down below. If you are not in the MVP Discord, you're doing yourself a disservice, because it is one of the greatest communities, if not the greatest, in all of the universe. Fuck it, it is the greatest in all the universe. We have all the chats for all the sports, so go ahead, hit that up down below. If you want to support us, you can do so in one of two ways. You can either hit up patreon.com/MVPvids, or you can become a channel member. They are both the same thing, same rewards on each page, so go ahead, hit that up. You can get content a week early. Soapy's mock draft, which at this point it's coming up tomorrow, but could have got that a week early. My Io DeSumo video is already up on Patreon. You can go and get that, and channel members can get that right now before it goes up next week. And my Jared Butler video that will be going up sometime tomorrow you can get that a week early before everyone else does for next week. So go ahead. That is the gold tier for that. And then hit the like button, hit the sub button, hit the notification bell. comment down below everything we need to do to please our YouTube overlords and make the algorithm happy with us. That's it. That is it for housekeeping. Into the stuff for today, Soapy. Let's start with the collapse, the absolute collapse that happened yesterday. Because here's the question I'm going to pose to you: is what was this from your standpoint? Was this Sixers-Hawks game the Sixers blowing a 24-point lead? Or was this the, Lou Williams caught fire and the Hawks won this game? What deserves more credit? The Sixers blowing it or the Hawks actually playing well towards the end of the game and stealing this from the Sixers?
I think this comes down to the 76ers losing it, and it's because as well as like the fact that the Hawks played phenomenal. The fact that the 76ers blew a 24-point lead when you have 3 people on the All-NBA defensive teams, that's pretty fucking bad. Yeah, like I think this really does just come down to the 76ers making the mistake of not being able to kind of basically, keep their foot down on the gas, and kind of they seem to let off. And basically the Hawks are like, hey, maybe you shouldn't doubt a team that's led by Trae fucking Young, and you have a guy that has won 6 Man of the Year a couple times for a pretty good reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I just look at this and I'm just like, God damn, dude, the Sixers stink.
Yeah. I mean, this was one to where there's a part of me that goes, oh, well, like I'm watching the game and I'm watching Lou Will go off, and there's a part of me that is upset because I was feeling very comfortable through this game, Soapy. I followed Jake into the dark the night before. Oh, Sixers should win by more than 8. They should win by 8 or more. Let's put $15 on it, Soapy. So I followed him into the dark. See, I'm usually not Jake though. Like, Jake is the ultimate hedge better. So, he at halftime also put a bet on Hawks plus 19.5. So he made money off the night. I did not, because I did not do that. I will get to that during the Clippers game and my phenomenal night there. But I mean, this was a game I'm watching it going, all right, Lou Will's going off, but if you're a Sixers fan, you can't be upset with that, because what? Do you put all the defense on Lou Will and let Trae Young beat you? Absolutely not. Like, who expected Lou Will to finally say, all right, guys, I'm going to be the flamethrower here and get as hot as Seth Curry was, but for the Hawks?
Yeah, I mean, and obviously, you just got to kind of take the punches that are thrown your way. The only thing is you have to make it to where if someone catches fire, you are at least trying to match that fire with something. You can't just have it that you rely on the fact of, like, we got a 24-point lead, we can relax a little bit. Mm-hmm. But that almost seems to. And I remember there was a thing put in the Discord. Let me see if I can find it. Mm-hmm. Doc's got a little problem with doing this over and over again. He gets a lead and he fucking blows it.
What, the Sixers or Doc?
Doc in general.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find it. Because I think it's Doc has blown 4 20-point leads. He has blown... Alright. So it's the largest blown leads in the last 2 postseasons. Last night set the record, or is the highest, of 26 points. Last year, twice the Clippers blew a 21-point lead in 19. This year, the Sixers also blew an 18-point lead. Mm-hmm. And then last year, the Celtics blew a 16-point lead. I think I'm starting to notice a little bit of a trend here with Doc.
So, here's the thing I do want to say that is in defense of the Sixers, and I think Jake would be on the side of there is no defense for this team. We stink. And Jake's already like Hawks and 6. He's done with the series. Even though I still believe, Soapy, that the Sixers could come back and win it in 7. Because if you've noticed this series already, first I will say this. If you are a Sixer fan that is like, oh my God, we're going to lose, the Hawks have only beaten the Sixers once. Obviously, this was it. This was the second one. The Sixers have beaten the Hawks twice. No team has won 3 in a row. It is very hard to win 3 in a row in a playoff series. I still think this series will go 7. And in a game 7, anything can happen. And it's good that Philly will have home court advantage. Like, there's 2 reasons why I don't want to point the blame at Doc. I want to point the blame at the Sixers team is because all throughout the second half, Doc told the interviewer, he told the team during like the huddles that we were seeing, he was preaching ball movement, ball movement, ball movement. Hey guys, we got to move the ball like we were doing in the first half. Hey guys, we got to move the ball like we were doing in the first half. He couldn't, like, the next thing he could do is fucking just hit him over the head with the clipboard and say, hey fuckers, you got to move the ball. Because what else do you want him to do? Like, you'd hear him say, hey guys, we got to move the ball. It's more of a rest, like, hey guys, you got to move the ball. Because, like, Doc, you know, he's lost his voice at this point. But, like, he's saying, oh, you got to move the ball. And then you look at the offensive possessions, and, like, I looked out there, and I'm like, what possession is that? That is not ball movement by any means. There were numerous possessions in that fourth quarter at the end where I was like, what are we doing out there, Philadelphia? To where that's number 1. And number 2, like, I know Jake, we said it in game 1, he put in the all bench unit, and that's why they lost. And I know, like, Jake even texted me, he goes, Ricky, the all bench unit is out there. Why is it out there? And the thing that I think about, Soapy, is we've talked about, especially in the watch along, we've had conversations that, like, a long series is going to be bad for Joel Embiid and his knee. The more he plays, it's just going to be bad for him with his durability. Like, at some point, you have to put the onus, and yet again, you might say, well, the bench unit for the Sixers is a very young group. You've got Maxey, who's a rookie. You've got Shake Milton, who's a young player. You got Thibault, who is, a third-year pro at this point?
Like second or third.
Like, it is a young unit. Like, Dwight Howard is the oldest one in that unit that's out there. I think it's him or Mike Scott, one of the two. But, like, at some point, you got to say, guys, like, we got to have a second unit that is, bless you. We've got to have a second unit out there that can basically hold their own so that Ben, Toby, and Joe can get a rest, because that's the big thing. Like, if Ben, Toby, and Joe have to play 40-plus minutes a night every single game, like, come on. Like, that's the big thing to me, where it's like, yeah, it's you can point at Doc and say, oh, you can't play the second unit, but when do you point to the second unit and say, yo, nut up or shut up, bro?
I mean, it's the fact of, I think that's where the 76ers, I think, are going to eternally be held up. Obviously, they tried to move on from some of the young pieces to get Harden, but obviously the Houston Rockets owner didn't want it, mostly because, like Jake says, he's petty. But at the same time, like, we're seeing 76ers fans. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. Mm-hmm. I'm just throwing it out there. Like, we've seen Jake want Isaiah Joe to get minutes. We've seen him wanting Mike Scott completely out of the rotation. The only thing is, are you going to rely on rookies in a high playoff situation? Mm-hmm. Like, that's the thing. If you are a championship contender, at this point, it's fuck the young guys. Mm-hmm. We don't need them anymore. I think Maxey, honestly, out of all of them, is, like, really the only one to keep. And when I say young guys, I mean rookies. I'm not talking about, like, Thibault, because obviously Thibault is really important for this team.
Yeah.
But, like, you look at it and it's just like, bro, the rookies shouldn't matter. Rookies, or no, not rookies. Rookies.
Yeah.
Don't matter when it comes to the fact of you are hunting for a championship. Mm-hmm. God only knows how long Embiid's knee is going to hold up. Mm-hmm. And obviously, I'm not wishing.
He clutched at his left one yesterday. The left one is not the torn one, though.
Yeah. The fact of, and this is probably going to lead into where Jake's going to hate me by the end of the segment, guys. I hope you know that. But I think that's where, like, this team needs to look at it and be like, all right, fuck it. Fuck Joe. Fuck Paul. Look, fuck B-Ball Paul. Fuck those guys. Mm-hmm. We don't need them. Ship their ass for vets. Because at this point, you need people you can reliably put on the court. Because, I mean, you even brought it up. If you're having a guy who's playing in a torn fucking meniscus playing 40 minutes, you're not winning shit. We've seen Embiid struggle.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he struggled every game, because obviously last game he played really well.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also the fact of where we're seeing it of, Ben Simmons looks like Michael Carter-Williams II out here.
But Soapy's playing a role on... Ben Simmons is playing a role on this team, Soapy.
So you spent a first overall pick on a role player?
Oh, I set you up for it. I fucking was like, here's the alley-oop, Soapy.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. It just, I get it. Like, I get where Jake comes from when he says Ben Simmons is playing a role in his team. The only thing is, Brown plays a role in his team. He still drops fucking 20 a night.
Well, here's the thing.
Other players play a role. I think it's just the fact of it. Like, obviously, the Ben Simmons shooting three thing, that's never going to go the fuck away. People are obsessed with three.
He's never going to shoot a three. Like, that's where I've gotten with it.
Yeah, but it's the fact of, like, that people are saying he needs to be more aggressive on offense, and then just shooting it down and being like, well, no, he doesn't have to.
Yeah.
Huh? You're the first overall fucking pick. You better be fucking good at damn near everything you do, because otherwise, the guy who got drafted right behind you is already fucking better than you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I will say this. You talk about, and yet again, we're getting into the territory of, like, talking like the Sixers season is over, and it's not. But the one thing I will say is, let's say, for the sake of argument, let's say the Sixers lose this series. The one thing I think needs to be looked at is there needs to be you need to either add, first off, I would hit my goal in free agency would be how many lower end vets can I add to this bench unit to make it to where it is a viable bench unit, to where it's like, for example, like, can you find either via trade or free agency your Andre Iguodala on the Warriors, your Trevor Ariza on the Rockets, like those type of players, your PJ Tuckers, or Jeff Greens right now on the Nets and the Bucks. Like, the Sixers need one or two of those guys for at least the second unit. And then for the starting unit, I feel like if they don't win this series, and yet again, against the Nets, they're going to be up really, like, against, like, a rock and a hard place, because if Harden is back fully healthy for that series, they're not going to be able to beat Harden and KD. But, like, this team needs a star that can score the basketball. And when I say that, you've got Toby is good, but this entire series, Toby's been consistent. It's like, Toby's a guy, and I didn't look, how many points did he have last night? But coming into today, he was basically good for 20 points a game. To where it's like, oh, Toby's had 20 points, or 20 to 22 in every game. Last night he sucked. Played 38 minutes, only took 3 shots, but didn't score the basketball. He only scored 4 points in the game. You look at Seth Curry. Yeah, Seth Curry had one of his career best games, especially from beyond the arc, almost tying a Sixers playoff record set by Hall of Famer Allen Iverson. But, like, the 36 points he had in the game, that ain't, like, it's more of the, that ain't you. Like, you ain't that guy, cat. You ain't that guy, pal. You ain't that guy. Because, like, yeah, he's had 21, 12, 17. He's not a 30-point-a-game guy, to where Embiid's your number one, but they need a guy. If Ben Simmons is not going to be your scorer, that's fine. You need somebody. You need a player, maybe not a superstar, but, like, and I know Jake would be in here saying, well, if the Rockets weren't assholes and would have traded us James Harden, things would be different. But yeah, I love to play the what if game too, and people bitch at me all the time because I'm a what if guy. Like, they need that. They need a James Harden-esque player, of maybe not that high of a superstar, but they need a guy for the starting lineup that's going to score the basketball with Joel, if Toby and Ben are not going to be those guys.
And you can't rely on Seth Curry every night.
No, exactly.
Seth Curry is a role player.
Mm-hmm.
It's the fact of, like, this is why, and I always have said it, and I jokingly say it now, but, like, it's a legitimate thought I have of, like, we have to start putting onus on Ben Simmons for this. He has to step up on offense. You cannot have that contract and literally just be almost a non-factor on the offense. It's the fact of, like, I get it. Offense isn't everything in the NBA. I get it. He's an all-level defense. Like, he's second, was runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year. I get it. He's a phenomenal player. I'm not going to act like Ben's a complete fucking bum. The only thing is, when your second highest paid player, or it's either your highest or second highest paid player, or third, because I forgot Toby has a fucking huge contract. If that player is almost a non-factor and won't take shots in the fourth quarter, you can just be like, all right, fuck it, hack a Ben, send him to the free throw line.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna be like you have to be like a great free throw shooter. You have to at least get to like league average.
Yeah.
Like, it's the fact of Ben has to do more. I know, like, Jake won't like hearing that because he's playing a role, but like I said, did you draft a role player or did you draft a star?
So, I'm going to say something, and I know it's going to Jake, if you're listening, I know it's going to piss you off, but this is just what came to my head. Like, when you were talking about you can't pay a guy who's going to be, like, basically saying you're overpaying for Ben. Ben right now, and I got to look up really quick to see what this player's averages are that I'm going to compare him to. But, like, in the back of my head, I just think about this player right away. Ben Simmons right now to the Sixers is in comparison to what, like, a Rudy Gobert is to the Jazz. Is Rudy Gobert going to lead the team in scoring? No. Does he have a role that he does very well? Yeah, to play defense. What else does he do well? He rebounds the basketball. Ben Simmons plays defense, passes the ball. Rudy Gobert is getting paid $102 million. Ben Simmons is getting paid $177 million. So, like, right there, it's almost like are you overpaying for Ben? I don't know if we have that discussion today, but, like, you look at Rudy Gobert's team. Why are we not having this discussion about him? Because he's got Donovan Mitchell, Boban, Ingles. Like, they've got scoring. Jordan Clarkson. We're like, Ben, where's the scoring around you?
The problem is, we also did say Rudy Gobert got overpaid. That was a conversation we had
good
before.
point. So he should be making less. So, like, are the Sixers overpaying for Ben?
Absolutely. You're paying for a guy that, essentially, if you think Rudy Gobert is overpaid, Ben Simmons is overpaid.
Okay.
I think it's the fact of, and guess what? Rudy Gobert's actually had a lot of accomplishments in his career. He's a three-time Defensive Player of the Year for a reason. You may not like that he won it.
Is he 3 times or is he 2 times?
I think he's 3.
Okay, I'm gonna look it up. I think he's 2-time, and he's searching his 3rd time. But I'm gonna double check.
He's probably gonna fucking win 3.
I mean, we all thought Giannis was gonna win 3 in a row, and then he didn't.
Well, yeah, but that's also just because Rudy Gobert was like, oh, hey, bud, these are my awards now.
You're right. He is a 3-timer. 2018, 19, and 21.
Yeah. It's the fact of, like, he's achieved that. And it's the fact of, and it was even the point I made of where, obviously, Jake always, you and Jake throw out the Rudy front.
I just love to say it. Like, it's fun to say. Yeah. Plus, my opinion about centers and building around them.
Yeah. I think it's just, I look at it as you may view Rudy Gobert as a fraud because, like, okay, yeah, big guy who blocks shots, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. If Ben Simmons is that much better of a defender, how come he has, let's see here, Rudy Gobert doubled his first place votes. The fact that Rudy Gobert is leading the Jazz to one of the best defenses in the NBA without 2 other All-NBA defensive players around him. So, let's see here. Obviously, Quinn Snyder is a really good defensive coach. You have to take that into consideration. But what's more impactful, having really good defensive players or just a defensive coach?
Players.
Exactly. I think it is the fact of, like, yes, Ben is a phenomenal defender. I'm not going to bash him for that. I think it's just the fact of you are massively overpaying for a person who is a role player. He is playing like a role player. I don't give a shit if he does this. I don't care if he's elite at this. I don't care if he's elite at this. What the fuck are you doing? You are the first overall pick. If someone behind you is doing shit better than you can, like, obviously this thing, yes, he's a better playmaker and he's a better defender than Brandon Ingram. congratulations, Brandon Ingram's a fucking twig.
So,
the fact that...
Go ahead.
Yeah. I don't know. I just look at it, and I just see Ben, and I'm just like, you got compared to Magic fucking Johnson, and you're dollar store Magic. You're a taller Ricky Rubio.
Yikes.
Like, that's the shit that annoys me. I know, like I said before the show as a joke, Jake's not going to want to do a show with me after this. Because I'm just shitting on Ben. But, like, something has to change with him. Mm-hmm. I will honestly say it on the show, the Sixers will never win a championship if Ben stays this role player. Well, Ben has to take another step next year. You can't have a guy who's just sitting here being like, I mean, I'm fine with 8 points.
Mm-hmm. Two of the things I want to bring up from YouTube chat. First off, Roger says, how is that fine? Talking about Ben. How is that fine that he's on a max and not a scorer? Seems like bad logic. And then also Bill says, question about starting scoring. Wasn't that what Danny Green was supposed to be? He was starting all year and was part of 2 different championship teams in a row. I will say, that does hurt the Sixers. We have not mentioned it. You got to mention it. Danny Green being out right now does hurt the Sixers. That's all it is. Like, it does hurt the Sixers. Sixer fans are going to be mad we haven't mentioned that, but I'll go ahead and mention it now that, yes, that hurts. That takes away from the scoring. It changes some things, but, like, I'm talking about the team moving forward. Now, the good thing is you got Daryl Morey in the front office. So even if the Sixers lose this series, I have confidence that Daryl Morey can put a team together that can compete for a championship. Last thing I did want to mention is JD says Jaylen Brown. JD, it's funny. Soapy and I were looking today, and if the Sixers didn't take Markelle and didn't take Ben Simmons, they could have just had Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Joel Embiid. They could have had what the Celtics have with Joel Embiid and probably would be winning championships right
now. Because it's even like I made the joke before the show, too. Imagine the fact you missed on both your first-round picks, and the team you hate the most hit on both of theirs.
Yeah, and one of them they traded the first-round pick to you. And you basically gave them Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
And Danny Ainge is a terrible GM.
I mean, to be fair, for the most part, he wasn't
for the most
best.
Part, he is.
Yeah. Like, I think the Sixers can still turn this around, though. Mm-hmm. The only thing is, like, and even like with the Danny Green stuff, I don't think Danny Green being out is that impactful.
It's impactful. Like, it is impactful, but it's not the end of the world. You know what I'm saying? He is still helping on the sideline as like another assistant coach they were mentioning during the game.
Yeah, I just look at it as like, okay, if you're expecting Danny Green to absolutely lead you to a finals, you're doo-doo cheeks. You need to rethink something. The fact that Danny Green's an impactful player. He's a wonderful 3-and-D player. But once again, how many times do we hear people complain about his shot IQ? How many times do we hear people complain about the fact that he takes shots he shouldn't?
Yeah.
The fact that we're seeing all of this stuff, and now just out of nowhere, now that he's gone, it's super impactful. But when he's playing, he should be doing this.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be doing that. It's like, no, you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
You either like that he's on your team or you don't.
So we've spent a mile and a half on this Hawks Sixer game. We got to move to the other one because we got stuff that we're going to have another situation where we're going to have to bump the draft topic yet again because the playoff game, Soapy and I just love getting into it. The next
we'll never talk about the fucking combine. We'll end up talking about it after the combine happens.
Well, here's the thing, Soapy. I'm going to ask this now. Live on the show, don't feel pressured about it. What's your availability for tomorrow?
It should be available. Depends on what time.
So, if Jake doesn't want to do NFL, do you just want to do if we don't do the combine today, we could do it tomorrow? Because I have a feeling Jake is even going to want to do NFL tomorrow.
Well, yeah, I mean, because the Sixers are on again, so he could still watch his team lose in 6. I mean, what?
Exactly. So we may be talking NBA tomorrow. There may be a change there because of the damn Philadelphia 76ers. But the other game that went on, Paul George, he propelled his team against the Utah Jazz. Everyone's like, oh, the Clippers are done. Oh, my God, Kawhi's out. How can they win without Kawhi? And Paul George goes, you guys do remember I'm playoff P, right? Like, by myself, I can lead a team. And I was watching and I'm going, why does Paul George do this when he's by himself? But when you have Kawhi out there, it's like, I forget how to play basketball sometimes. Like, this was a Clipper team where, like, Paul George had 37, Reggie Jackson had 22, Marukes Morris even had 25 from the field. Donovan Mitchell did not have one of his best games. He only had 21. I believe he had 9 points. I think he had 9 points to start the game in the first half. Is this series over? Are the Clippers going to win it in 6, Soapy? Or is there a chance the Jazz come back and win in 7?
Yeah. I turned my camera off because I had to stand up because my leg fell asleep.
You're good.
And there was no point in having you guys just stare at my wall. But I think the Jazz can still come back. I don't want to sound like I'm being just the absolute, like Clippers hater, but, I still think I think the Jazz can come back. I think now, if they're going to guard Paul George a lot more heavily than they were before.
Mm-hmm.
Because, even when watching the game, it's like there's at times where it's like, oh, you guys are doing really lackadaisical cover on Paul George. Like, what happened? Because they went from, there was one, the first 2 games, they're smothering everybody. And, something seems to have changed with this Jazz team.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like they had, pure confidence going into the first 2 games. They lose 1, and it's just like, oh, you guys seem to have lost all your confidence now.
Yeah. I mean, I look at yesterday, and first off, Soapy, to complete my story from the first one, you know how I said I lost $15 because I followed Jake into the dark?
Yeah.
I made a baller move. Before the game yesterday, Clippers Jazz, I was like, fuck it. Plus money, plus 6.5. I'm putting 15 on Clippers plus 6.5 to try to just win my money back. Gets to the fourth quarter. I look at the score. I'm like, Clippers are up 10. I'm going to cash out. I'm going to get $11 back, but then put 15 of it. So basically, I got 22, which would have been an $11 profit, but could have just, or $11 and I would have only lost 4. But instead, I was like, I'm going to put 15 on the Clippers minus 4.5 for a $57 win. Made a profit of $53 at the end of the day based on this one game doing some live bets. So thank you, LA Clippers, for giving me a little money in the pocket. But this is something to where I look at the Jazz and I go, all right, Donovan Mitchell, put up or shut up. Or as I said earlier, nut up or shut up. Because this was a game when Bojan Bogdanovic is your leading scorer. That dude couldn't miss a shot from beyond the arc last night. Went 9 of 17. Joe Ingles is a guy, he's either going to have it or he's not. You can't rely on him consistently. Royce O'Neal, he had around where he's at, 2 to 3 threes. Donovan Mitchell was not Donovan Mitchell. He only had 4 threes, which I know you're saying only 4 threes, but he's a guy that's been averaging at least 5 or 6 in this series. And if Donovan Mitchell only has 21 points, you're not going to win the game, especially when in this one, it was like the entire Clipper team rallied. It was like Kawhi is out. All right, we all need to step up our games. Paul George had more points than he's used to having. Reggie Jackson had a solid game. Marukes Morris, I looked at it and I said, no way Marukes has another 27-point game like he did in Game 4. And he's like, no, I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna have 25 again. Did not see that from Marukes Morris. To where this Clipper team now has the Jazz exactly where they want them. 3-2 lead, coming back home. And like Eric said, the Jazz settled for jump shots, and they weren't attacking the rim. You cannot do that. You have to be aggressive. Yeah, they only lost by 8. Yeah, they came back late in the game. Yeah, the little bring it on thing. But right now the Clippers have the Jazz on the ropes, and I am not confident. I'm not confident that this goes to 7, and I'm not even confident that the Jazz win this series anymore. I'm all in on Clippers in 5. Or I'm sorry, Clippers in 6.
I was gonna say, what, are they gonna steal a fucking win back?
Yeah, they're gonna go back and they're gonna change it. They're gonna say, you know what, Game 1 should have been the Clippers.
Yeah, I think the Jazz can come back. I think it's just right now they're kind of, they're on the ropes. The fact of, like,
Mm-hmm.
they were threes, because there's times where I'm seeing Donovan Mitchell take some shots, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
you have Luke fucking Kennard on you. I love Luke. I love Kennard. But,
Cannot.
like, I love Kennard. But, like, take his ass to the rim.
Mm-hmm.
He's a traffic cone. He's a baby. He ain't doing nothing to you.
Hey man,
The fact,
Mama Canard might not want you to hear that.
I mean, yeah, dude, I don't want to get yelled at. I gotta watch myself, dude. I don't want to get yelled at by Mama Kennard on Twitter. Even though I praised that man when he was on the Pistons, so that's besides the point. The fact of, I think it's just the Jazz need to be like, all right, when they're running a small ball lineup, attack. Do not settle for threes. The fact that, like, you have Batum down in the paint just sitting there, like, all right, go at him. Like, I'm pretty confident Donovan Mitchell can finish over Batum.
Yeah, and
Just
I mean,
give Donovan the ball and be like, hey, so we're always really good when you're able to drop like 40.
mm-hmm.
You see that old French guy down there? I don't even know if he's French. Like, you see that old guy who looks like a really tall Tony Parker? Go get him.
Talking about Nicholas Batum, I think he is French.
Yeah. Yeah, basically, like, you see that tall, bald French guy down there? Go get him.
I actually do think. Here, I'm gonna look it up. I think he is French. Yeah, he was born in France. You're right. Yeah, he was born in.
So basically, go
fuck
attack
that
taller
up.
Tony Parker. Go get him.
Yeah, he is. He has represented the France team in 2 of the FIFA World Cups, 4 of the Euro baskets, and 1 time in the under-18 European Championship. He's never represented France in an Olympics. That's interesting.
Probably just opted not to do it.
Last thing I'll ask you before we go on into the big meat and potatoes of the show is who's got a better chance to come back and I'm not going to say force a game 7. I'm saying win in game 7. Who has the better chance to win in 7? Sixers or Jazz?
I think the Jazz.
Okay.
And I think it's just because of the fact of, with the Sixers, I have way too many questions about their offensive capability now that we've seen them blow, 2 20-point leads this offseason?
Yeah.
This exact same team.
The other one I'll throw in is if the Bucks were included into that discussion, they play tonight. They play in about 15 to 30 minutes. If they were added into that, would it still be the Sixers, or would you throw in basically the, hey, you're going to go ahead and the Bucks would be the best in your mind to force a game 7 and win in game 7?
I mean, I think the Bucks can force game 7. I don't think they win, though.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think it's because I don't know if we get another damn near 50-point game from Katie. Like, obviously, he's very capable of it. I'm not going to deny it.
Yeah. And
But at the same time, we also don't know what James Harden we're getting.
good point. Good. There's some people that think he's going to be back and score 25 tonight. And Eric says Utah has the better chance than the Sixers to win in game 7. Soapy, let's move on, though. Next thing we are talking about is a little coaching news as we got hit with an absolute bomb today in the NBA world. Woj, about 4 hours ago, said Rick Carlisle, who led the Dallas Mavericks to the 2011 NBA championship, informed Mavericks owner Mark Cuban today that he won't be returning as coach next season. Carlisle told ESPN. Carlisle had 2 years left on his contract. He spent 13 seasons as the Mavericks coach. Now, there's 2 ways I want to attack this. The first way is I want to focus on the Mavericks. Tim McMahon says 2 things. He's also from ESPN. He tweets, Luka Doncic is a strong supporter of Mavs assistant coach Jamal Mosley. He's got the things that are needed as a coach, Doncic said after Mosley's 1-game fill-in, a win over the Knicks this season. He can be a head coach for sure. Mark Cuban also told ESPN, this is a McMahon quote, where he says, I truly love Rick Carlisle. He was not only a good coach, but also a friend and a confidant. Our relationship was so much more than basketball, and I know that won't ever change. Soapy, with everything that we've talked about the Mavericks. Monday, Jake and I talked about Luka Doncic potentially leaving. Yesterday, you and Jake talked about Donnie Nelson leaving the Dallas Mavericks in the front office. And now a day later, we are talking about Rick Carlisle not coming back. In your mind, if you're a Dallas Maverick fan, how panicked should you be?
I mean, I still feel pretty comfortable because knowing the fact I have Luka fucking Doncic on my team.
For now.
He's gonna stay.
Could force a trade in 2 years.
I mean, he'd still be under contract then for still 2 more years. So I'd be like, yeah, fuck you, Luka. Yeah, I think I wouldn't be extremely concerned. I'm more or less concerned of like, okay, what's happening behind the scenes? Because obviously, your GM since the fucking 90s leaves. Like, that should be concerning at first. And then now your coach of basically since the 90s leaving. Like,
not since
I just look at
90s.
it as like
13 years is the 2000s, man. We're not that close to the 90s anymore.
Close enough. But like, I mean, he's felt like he's been the coach forever. But
2008.
Like, it just...
That's when he became the coach.
Close enough. Yeah, I think it's just when I'm just looking at this team, I sit there and just genuinely wonder of like, what the hell is happening behind closed doors that we're not hearing?
Yeah.
Because obviously, like we had the whole thing where we know GM and, the Mavs decided to split ways, mostly because like there was that bit of tension between the one guy Mark Cuban brought in, who was a gambling expert or whatever.
Yeah.
And, those two kind of butted heads against each other. I almost wonder if Carlisle kind of knew. It's like, I see the writing on the wall of like, oh, well, if I don't succeed, it's my fault. It's never Luka's fault. And I'm not trying to say like, oh, please blame on Luka in his like 3rd year. But like, maybe Rick Carlisle is either like, okay, I just want a new job. Or he's like, I see the writing on the wall. I know I'm about to get blamed for something that's not even my fucking fault.
I could see the writing on the wall, but the thing that I kind of think of is like you said, like maybe Carlisle was sitting there, and yet again, this is all speculation, but that's what we do, where maybe Carlisle was sitting there and he was going, okay, I can either come back to this team and have to deal with the same problems I was dealing with this year, or I can put my name out there. And yet again, this goes into the second half of the conversation of Carlisle, where he could go. But like, Carlisle could have also said, well, this might be a prime off season. Atlanta hasn't bought in. Like, I don't want to say bought in. Atlanta hasn't locked down Nate McMillan yet, so potentially could be an opening. The Pacers are an opening, which playoff team. The Blazers are open, playoff team. There are other teams like Woj tweets out, Rick Carlisle suddenly becomes a prominent candidate in a head coaching marketplace that includes 6 current openings and maybe more to come. Even the Boston Celtics, I think he becomes a prime candidate for their coaching job, another playoff team. Like, I even suspect, it's very sus to say what the kids would say these days. When Woj says, and maybe more, like, as a Bulls fan, I'm even thinking about, like, this is something to where, hey, you want to make the playoffs? Maybe if you're a team like that, hey, we need a playoff coach. Maybe if you already have your guy, like, I would be fine with the Bulls saying, hey, Billy Donovan, it's been great. We didn't expect this to happen. We're going to actually let you go, and we're going to go and try to hire Rick Carlisle. Because if you're a team, even if you have a coach, if you are not for sure on your coach, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody gets canned because X playoff team wants to add Rick Carlisle to their playoff staff.
Oh yeah, and I mean, and honestly, obviously in the Discord there was the conversation about like Carlisle, like he's made the playoffs but never really makes it out of the first. But a lot of people look at that and they don't realize like
he's done more than Terry Stotts in the playoffs.
True. I mean, he's actually made it to the ship before and won it. He's made it twice to the ship.
Against LeBron.
Okay, yeah. And the first one against D. Wade.
Oh, you're right.
Remember, he made it twice.
He did. Made it twice. But I'm saying, like, if you think LeBron's the GOAT, then that's a pretty good win then, right?
I mean, hey, it is a good win. That Mavericks team pulled off one of the biggest upsets in the finals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's just I think a lot of people give him a lot of shit for his playoff success, but like a lot of people also forget those Mavericks teams really weren't that fucking good. Like, that's not even me trying to be like to give the coach like a scapegoat. That's like the skeleton of Dirk
Mm-hmm.
that was getting them to the playoffs. Because otherwise, like that was the team that was like JJ Barea. I don't even remember who the fuck, like Wesley Matthews with their shooting guard.
Yeah. Dirk.
Don't even fucking remember. Don't even remember who the small forward was. Dirk was the power
JD
forward.
even says he has had trash teams.
Yeah, like it's the fact of like one of the best play like the fact that he almost made playoffs 1 year with Dennis Smith Jr. as a starting point guard.
Mm-hmm.
Like that should say something. Like he is a coach who can get around the absence of like an elite playmaker.
Well, and the thing I also look at is like, look at the openings right now, right? Boston, Washington, and Indiana all play in games, but like playoff teams knocking at the door. And then like in the West, Trailblazers and Pelicans. Like really the only job that's open right now that I don't think would be on Carlisle's list is the Orlando Magic. Like every other opening, all the other five, it's like, yeah, I could go there. And like even there's teams to where it's like if Charlotte wants to add Carlisle over Borrego, I could see them. The Bulls wanting to make the playoffs, Carlisle would be an upgrade from Billy D. You've got Luke Walton in Sacramento. If this is not the time for the Kings to can Luke Walton to try to get Rick Carlisle, this may be the time. I don't care. Carlisle wasn't a candidate then. Like, I'm just saying. I'm not saying it does happen, but like I'm saying these are all teams that if I was the GM, I would be thinking, could we get Carlisle and replace him as coach? Like, that's a tricky situation because you don't want to be stuck in the no man's land of firing your coach and then him saying no. You would probably have to do the like, hey, we're talking to Carlisle, get the agreement from him, and then it's like, okay, we're going to move forward, let our coach go so that we could hire Carlisle. I'd be interested to see if any teams that are not openings right now, if that happens because they want Rick Carlisle on their head coaching staff.
I mean, I could see. I'm trying to think of just some of them. As much as I hate Ty Lue, the Clippers won't get rid of him.
No. Hey, what if Bud gets fired? Do the Bucks go after Carlisle?
There's a chance. I mean, Bud's most likely going to get fired. That man can't coach a fucking basketball. Like he can't. Mm-hmm. Bud is a regular season coach, and he's proven it year in and year out.
Yeah. What if? Because like the only teams in the playoffs right now is like, if the Hawks don't keep Nate McMillan, because technically he still has the interim tag on, if Bud gets fired in Milwaukee, or if the rumors are true and Eric Spoelstra does move to Portland away from Miami, like those are the only teams of like top sixes that I'm like, okay, they may get rid of their coach to get Carlisle in there.
Yeah. I mean, if I had to say, I think Carlisle should be a favorite for that Celtics job.
Yeah.
And it's primarily because I'm not even like saying it as a meme. The fact he has succeeded without like elite level playmakers on his team. Like for a while, he had JJ Barea running his fucking first unit.
Yeah.
Where like obviously I'm not saying JJ Barea was bad. Like he wasn't like this like holy shit he's a really good playmaker. Mm-hmm. Like I think Carlisle could get the most out of the Celtics team, especially since he's an incredibly good like X's and O's coach.
Yeah.
Of where essentially like Brad Stevens was also that. Mm-hmm. Imagine Brad Stevens and Rick Carlisle having that basketball conversation, being like, "All right, these are the type of plays I want you to run, Carlisle. Figure out how that shit works like a heartbeat." Mm-hmm. Oh, I also do have to be right back.
Okay. I mean, also the thing like, and I will move this over to a different kind of discussion is on the other side. It's like, okay, who's going to be the coach for the Dallas Mavericks? To where like I see Ben Wallace guy in YouTube chat, Becky Hammond for coach for the Mavs. This is something where me in my head, I just think if I'm the Mavs, do you go with what's his name? Was it Jamal? I'm looking up his name really quick. Do you go with Jamal Mosley just because Luka likes him? Or do you go with an outside candidate? Is this a Stan Van job? Is this a Terry Stotts job? If Nate McMillan doesn't get kept by the Atlanta Hawks, is this a Nate McMillan job? Like, that's the main question I ask with the Dallas Mavericks is what do you basically, in YouTube chat, this is me asking you because I can't ask Soapy right now because he's still muted because he had to walk away, of do you just blindly sign your assistant as the head coach just because it would make Luka Doncic happy, and you got to make him happy, you got to make your superstars happy, or do you look at it and you go, you know what? One of these outside coaches is a better candidate than the assistant that we have. I don't care if Luka Doncic prefers this guy. We're going to go ahead and sign this other guy. Like, it's just a tricky situation. And I say that because you got, like, we've talked about it till we're blue in the face. We've talked about it on the show. We've talked about it when it's basically Jake, Soapy, and myself just chilling in Discord, watching games. We've had the discussion. We've also had the discussion last time I was in the Discord for MVP in the watch along. We had a similar discussion of just, we live in the day of player movement where if players are not happy, they have the power to say, nah, I'm out, bro. I'm out of here. I'm gone forever. And I don't want to play for you anymore. Where this isn't the NFL, where the NFL, the owners have all of the control over these players, to where the NBA, it's not like that. So, like, I almost think of it of, are the Mavericks now, because of this? First off, this had to be a blindside move for the Mavericks, because I don't think anybody, like, I didn't see it. I know in the Discord we've brought up Carlisle a lot, and there are some people in the MVP Discord that believed Carlisle should have been fired. I was not one of those people, did not think he was going to get fired. I know Lolian in the Discord was like, well, I was told he wasn't leaving. I didn't think he was leaving either. It was just like, if we all didn't think they were going to fire him, we all didn't think he was going to leave, this had to blindside Mark Cuban, right? Like, this had to be like a, shit, now we've got to look for a new coach. And, like, for me, I don't know if I just blame, like, you're stuck between the rock and a hard place because you got to keep Luka happy. Maybe that's just signing Mosley to be your head coach. But, like, me, I don't know if I do that, because what if he's not the right guy? What if you interview him and you're like, I don't really know. Like, yeah, he said the right things, but it doesn't really jive. And then you interview candidate B, C, or D, and one of those guys or one of those girls blows off the page. What if Becky Hammond comes in for an interview and she blows Mark Cuban away to where it's like, oh my God, she needs to be the coach of this team. If I'm the Mavericks, don't feel absolutely handicapped that you have to sign Jamal Mosley just because Luka Doncic. Like I said, though, rock in a hard place, you're kind of stuck with it, though. Maybe they do just have to sign Mosley because that's what Luka wants. Like, it's again, it goes back to the discussion also of, do you believe Luka wants out? Like, if this team doesn't either make him happy, if they don't do exactly what he wants to do, is he gone? Like, that's the thing. Jake and I talked about it on Monday. You can go and look at Monday's show where, is Luka gone? If they don't make the changes to the roster that needs to be done, now that the coach is gone, if they don't bring in the coach that Luka wants, is he gone? We've already seen Dame in Portland where they're like, Dame is going to be very intricate into the coach that we hire. I've always been someone to where it's like, not all players have the same, like, kind of gauge for things. Soapy, I've been kind of rambling, so I will ask you just the basic question of if you're the Mavericks, do you blindly just hire Jamal Mosley because that's who Luka wants? Or do you look outside and if there's a candidate, i.e. Becky Hammond, that blows you away, you go with the outside candidate over the person that Luka wants?
I think you ask Luka just kind of the general people he would want, like have him make a list of people. Mm-hmm. I think just having it to where like Luka's like, oh, well, I just want this guy. That could lead to the fact of like, okay,
what if he says that? What if you say, hey, I want a list, and he goes, nope, I want this guy.
And tell Luka to shut the fuck up and make a list.
Soapy goes, I just tell him that's how it is, and I'm hiring the best candidate that I think for the job. I'm the owner, GM. He's the player.
Yeah, but like, no, it's more of a, you basically have it to where you tell Luka like, hey, listen, obviously this person probably has a connection to you, and that's understandable.
Yeah.
But have it as a situation of where it's like, Luka, you have to understand, this person may benefit you, but like, do they benefit the whole team? Are they an X's and O's coach? Do they get the most out of the roster? Obviously, Luka may believe they do. Mm-hmm. But like, even just work along with him in the process of being like, hey, we're going to interview this person. We want you here for this interview.
Yeah.
Basically, we want you to be a part of the process of it.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Luka's going to be still swayed by the fact of he wants his guy. Mm-hmm. And what Luka wants, Luka's definitely going to want to get.
What Luka wants, Luka gets.
Yeah, since he's basically, they're like, oh, hey, we lost one foreign guy. Here we go. Here's another foreign guy to lead our franchise. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think it's going to be, if I'm Mark Cuban or just anyone in charge, I'm telling Luka, like, hey, he's going to be added to the list, but we are going to have you along with these interviews if you want to be there. Basically have you evaluate these people with us. Obviously, Luka will probably still want the same guy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's just basically tell Luka, like, hey, we understand he's available, but at least have him there in the process.
Yeah, I think for the Mavs, it's going to be, like I've said when I was rambling, filling space while you were gone, it's going to be a very just tricky situation for who they hire. Soapy, last thing we'll end the show with, we'll do the draft stuff tomorrow if Jake decides not to be on the show. So Jake, if you're watching, feel free to take another day if you need to, because tomorrow is game 6. Do you want to hear the all rookie teams that were announced today if you have not seen them already?
I just saw, dude. I'm happy. My boys made it.
So the rookie first team is LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton, Sadiq Bey, Sadiq
Energy,
Bey, Jayshawn Tate, where the second team is Emmanuel Quickley, Desmond Bain, Isaac Okoro, Isaiah Stewart, and the Paw, Patrick Williams.
I mean, yeah, I honestly don't disagree with either of those teams. 2
of your boys made it, Soapy.
Yeah. Like, I just think it's the fact of, like, I'm just fucking excited about the fact that my boys made it.
Yeah, I mean, you got Sadiq
We do
Bey,
appreciate seeing Big Deke Energy making it in the first one.
Big Deke Energy. I love also how Kings fans speak in YouTube chat. Says, any teams willing to take on Walton, please. I mentioned it earlier. Maybe they should just fire him and try to get Carlisle.
They won't. They're going to run it back with them more.
I know they won't, but they should, is what I'm saying.
I mean, yeah, shoulda, coulda, woulda. They should have fired him like after his first year.
So, Soapy, that's going to do it for us today. Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, my Discord. I hope it's coming through my Yeti. I'm going to have to now fix that because it unplugged. Good. I didn't want it to be coming through like the camera microphone. But that's going to do it for us. Tomorrow's, we're going to wait and see. The schedule says NFL with Jake and I, but I'm assuming because tomorrow's game 6 and the Sixers are an elimination game, I'm just going to assume Jake does not want to do the show tomorrow. So if he for sure tells me no, it'll probably be it'll be Soapy and I because Dave's on vacation still. We'll just do all draft. Unless, like, the NBA is like, nope, this week's not over. We got more news to just drop on you guys. We will finally do the draft topics we've been looking at. It feels like my mic is cutting in and out. Maybe that's because I unplugged it. But that's going to do it for us. I want to thank you guys for being as awesome as you always are. Remember, join the Discord if you're not in it already. Greatest community in the universe. You can join for free. Link down below in the description. You can also, if you want to support us, become a channel member today or become a patron. Patreon.com/MVPvids. Both of them are exact same. Just either one you want to do. It really helps us, and you get rewarded for doing so. Thank you to our Patreon sponsor, Pat Hill. And also, if you're not subbed, if you don't hit that notification button, you're behind the 8 ball. Got to sub, got to hit the notification button, got to like, comment, all that good stuff. Want to thank everyone who was talking to us in YouTube chat today. We will be back tomorrow. Yeah, that's going to do it for us. Thank you guys for everything you do. Kings Fan Speak says, nah, man. I added the man. He said, nah, Mike is smooth. Thank you guys for everything. We'll catch you guys tomorrow.